and running around doing things there. Now we're home, so I'm not at the shop. I'm at home, which is fantastic. So, topic for today is as prices rise, quality becomes mandatory, right? We're going to talk about why that is. Is that really true? And what are some of the things that you can do to elevate the price of your product through things like quality? And this is something that we've done here at the Sweated Crow, which has really helped us to increase the price of our product, to increase our margins, and to help in situations where like inflation becomes a thing, the price of everything starts to grow up. I've told you guys before, adjust the price of your products and help to kind of beat that inflation, right? To move your income up a little bit easier than where if you're a W-2 employee and you work for somebody else and you have to constantly go in and ask for raises and things like that. So anyway, that's what we're gonna talk about today. I think it's a good topic, and it's a topic that is really kind of important right now because we got these tariff things going on. The cost of things are supposedly going to explode, even though nothing really has gone up in pricing, if you haven't noticed. So anyway, my name is Eric Volk, and I own the Sweated Crow with my wife here in St. Louis, Missouri, and we have a small boutique furniture company. We make a lot of furniture. We paint a lot of furniture. We do about 500-ish pieces a year, and we got 7 employees, and it's a great business. It's a good way to make money. Probably not going to get rich, but it's a very fulfilling type of work, and we really enjoy it. It feels really good to employ people and to teach people things, and so that's what I come on here and I talk about. And I talk about what it's really like to run a furniture company, a paint company, dealing with employees, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'll start with. So everyone, hit the like button if you're just getting in here. It helps to kind of kick the algorithm around, and let me know where you're at. Say hi, and let me know what it is you do. I'm always curious what people that watch this stream are doing. So okay, so what we're gonna start with is I got Grok here pulled up on my computer, and I just asked it the basic question of this. What we started this live stream is, as prices rise, does quality become more important, right? And Grok turned back something that I thought was kind of good. It said, as prices rise, quality often becomes more important because customers expect greater value for their money, right? I mean, if you're going to pay a crap ton of money for something, you kind of want to get something for that money, right? Especially as the price gets more and more, right? As it's more of a stretch for you to purchase something. You want to know that you're buying something that's going to last, right? That is what it says it's going to be. You can really tarnish your brand. And I don't have my notes, guys. I did have a pencil with me, so I'm kind of winging it here today. Truth is that if you, it takes a long time to build a brand and to build a sense of quality and to build a name for yourself. And it only takes a second to break it, right? So if you look at these companies like Dior and Hermes and all these kind of things, there's a lot of talk about these guys actually not making their products in France, right? They actually have them made in China, and they bring them into France, and then they try and sell them back to you as a French-made product. So that's something that's going to tarnish that industry. People have felt a little bit betrayed by that, so you got to be very careful. When you charge a lot of money for something, you better deliver. And if people find out that you're not delivering what you say you're going to deliver on, and as a brand, that can mean a lot of different things, right? But if you're not delivering on what the customer expects, you can be wiped out instantly. I mean, people will completely no longer trust you. They won't associate the value that they did before, or the high-end appeal of your product. It'll all go away in a heartbeat. So it's very important that you deliver on what it is that you say you're providing, right? So one of the things that we do here at the Sweated Crow is we used to just paint vintage furniture, right? Vintage furniture has a quality all its own, right? So we didn't necessarily have to make a high quality piece of furniture because we weren't making furniture at the time. We were just selling vintage furniture and then painting it, right? But it was very important that we put a high quality lacquer finish on top of it that people expected, right? We couldn't put some water-based type finish on there and then tell people that it's a difficult to spray finish like high gloss lacquer. We had to deliver on what we said we're going to deliver on, right? So that's allowed us to raise our price over the years, not overnight, but over the years, we're able to raise that price and again, increase the revenue or the margin on the products that we sell. And it's been a good way to make money, So if you can do this for a long period of time and deliver on what it is that your brand is purporting to sell, then that's a great way to make money, So continue reading here with what Grok wrote back. So other thing it says, however, it depends on context. Some prioritize brand or convenience over quality, and in certain markets, inflated prices don't always correlate with better quality, right? And this is so true. Just because you sell your product for a lot of money doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to correlate quality or longevity, durability, all these kind of things with that particular product. And that's a great thing about having your own company and having your own brand, is that you can actually dictate what it is you're trying to put out into the world there, what you're trying to sell. And maybe it's not quality necessarily that you're trying to sell. Maybe you're trying to sell an image. Maybe you're trying to sell, I don't know, like there's all kinds of things that you can sell, but you get the opportunity to do whatever it is you want to do, but quality is something that never goes out of style. It's always relevant. And as I've talked about in previous streams, you have these particular kinds of products. You got good, better, and best, right? And you can operate in any one of those tiers. If you're going to operate in the good space, you're generally going to have to operate on volume, right? You have to make a lot of, in my case, of furniture, right? So I'd have to make a lot of furniture to operate in that space, because generally people that operate there are high volume manufacturers of goods, right? They're going to sell a lot of stuff. They're going to make it fairly cheap, and that's what people want, and that's cool. People see a lot of value there, and that's a great place to operate. Man, tough to do in furniture, but you can operate in that better space, which is going to be, you're kind of your middle of the road. Maybe it's handmade, but it's made in another country, and maybe it could be made in America, like who knows. But point is that you're kind of operating in a very specific kind of price point, but then you can operate in that best tier, right? And there's no ceiling on the best category. You can sell it for as much as you want, but you got to convince people to pay for it, right? It takes time to operate in that best tier, because you probably had to go through the rungs, right? You might have operated in that good space, but then you get up to that best space, right? It takes time to get there. You got to prove to people that you can deliver, and you got to prove to people you can deliver over a long period of time. So it takes a long time to get there. And one of the things I did for this stream is I went on Amazon of all places, and I just typed in credenza, and then I sorted to whatever the most expensive products are. And we're going to look at what a very high-end piece of furniture from Amazon costs, right? And we're going to go through what you're getting for that price. And I'll tell you what I would charge for that piece of furniture, right? I'll tell you how I would price it and what you're going to get from the furniture maker here in America that makes it all by hand, right here in St. Louis. So that's kind of some of the things we're talking about, what we're going to go over. And like I said, we'll try and do our stream here in about an hour, or for about an hour, and we'll go through the comments and talk to everyone, and just kind of do the back and forth thing like we do on all these streams, and continue to work on getting this thing monetized, So, okay, so we got Batshit Crazy here. Hey, Batshit, good to see you, man. Appreciate you being in here. And like I said, as always, contribute to the conversation and give me your input. I always appreciate it. We don't always agree, but, that's cool. No big thing. Like, people aren't always going to agree. So we got Adam in here. Adam, yep, you're back. I appreciate it, Adam. Appreciate being here. And yeah, it's just keep working on this thing and keep talking about the business of woodworking, the business of painting furniture, how to go from basically working for somebody else to getting to do it for yourself. Because it's a good thing. So, all right, so I'm going to pull up this Amazon. And I'm sorry, guys, I know you can't see this. I don't have it pulled up on my phone here. I can do this, actually. I have the software for this. I should try it sometime. But anyway, so I pulled up, it's just an Asian pastel blue shutter credenza, okay? It's a basic credenza. It's got 4 doors, nothing special about it, okay? What they're charging for this thing is $6,800, all right? And the dimensions on the thing, it's 83 inches wide, and it's basically 35 inches tall and 15 inches deep, right? So these are kind of standard dimensions. So a comparable product from me would be, I sell something called the Zane credenza, and it's 80 inches wide, and it's gonna be 35 inches tall and 18 inches deep. It has 5 doors on it. This one has 4. But mine's about $6,200, $6,500 if I remember correctly, okay? Now, there's big differences between this Amazon piece of furniture and the piece of furniture that I have, okay? And this is really important for people to understand, okay? When you're selling a product on Amazon gets about 30% of it. So, see, Matt, just throw it here. Do you like money? Yeah, I'll get it. It's really important to understand. So Amazon takes a fee, right, for putting that product on their website, and they'll process everything. They'll take care of the warranty and all that kind of stuff. But point is that I've heard that the fee is as much as 30%, right? So if you take 30% from $6,800, I mean, that's a big number. You're into the $300 range there, So it's getting kind of pricey. Now, if no, I said that incorrectly. You're getting into the let's see, 30% of the, so you're into like $1,800. That's a crap ton of money. The point is that this product that they're selling here it's a nice looking product and all that kind of stuff. But the question is it worth that $6,800, right? The transaction cost, right? What you get for the value exchange, whatever I'll call it, like what are you getting for that? Okay, so here's the thing. You have a company, right? This company is called Orient Living Store, okay? And I'm in the furniture industry. I've never heard of this company. I have no idea who this is. And odds are most people don't know who this company is. My guess is this company doesn't have any kind of a long-standing name. They might, but point is they don't know who they are. My company, the Resplendent Crow, is very well known in the furniture space. We're very well known in the painted furniture space. And we have a long history of getting furniture to people, to delivering furniture, to making a good product, a product that lasts a long time. And one of the things we're also known for is if there's a warranty issue or a service issue, we're very quick to take care of it, and we do a really good job. So this company, they're selling this product for $6,800. And the truth is that when we look at it, right, so it says about the item. Everyone knows this on Amazon, right? So about the item. Okay, the origin, where do you think this cabinet's made for $6,800, right? It's made in China, okay? So you're gonna get a piece of furniture made in China, right, that is $6,800. It's not even made in America, okay? Now, the next question I would ask is, well, can you pick the color? It's painted, right? So point is, you can't pick the color either. Like, see, it's not made in America. You don't get to pick the color, right? The sizing's kind of goofy. It's a little bit on the small side for the price point that they're selling it for. And the other thing is that when you look at the shipping fee, okay, there's a fee on top of this $6,800, right? $450 to deliver it. Right, so you're gonna sink for $7,200 to get it to your home, right? And you don't get to pick anything, okay? Now, you take an American furniture company, like I use mine because that's what we're here to talk about. It's like you can pick any color you want, right? And the hardware that they have in here is kind of a standard hardware. With my company, you're able to pick whatever kind of hardware you want. We're gonna deliver it in the price. So when you pay whatever, $6,200 to $6,500, like our shipping is actually included. And also we're gonna deliver it into your door. Right, so it's a very you get a lot for the money if you compare it to what you're getting here on Amazon, right? And Amazon's a fantastic website. I love Amazon. I use it every day. Everyone uses Amazon, and it's a fantastic service. But the perception of quality is very important, right? And as the price rise, which is what we talked about, quality becomes mandatory, right? So what happens is more people start shopping around when things get more expensive, right? There's less dollars to just throw at shit. So you kind of have to, people become a little more discerning, right? So you want to be one of these companies that offers a lot of value and a lot of quality for the money that people are going to spend. And that's what's getting ready to happen. As prices continue to go up, and let's just say those tariffs come into play, which I don't think they're going to, but let's just say they do. If buying a product from China becomes significantly more expensive, people are always going to spend money, right? But the point is they're going to look more, and they're probably going to want a little more value and a little bit more quality for the things that they're buying, So I think there's a lot of opportunities for people to again, start businesses, side hustles, all these kind of things, and like to get a website, get your name out there, spend a little bit of money on advertising, and show people that, hey, I offer a product very similar, made in America. Pricing is the same, or it could even be a little bit more, and you're gonna have access to a lot more of those buyers, because there's gonna be a lot more people looking. So I think that's kind of what's coming down the pipeline, and I don't know, anyone can agree with me, can disagree with me, but anyway, we'll go through the comments again. Can hit the like button, guys, and add to the algorithm, kick this thing around. Like I said, I'm gonna get this thing monetized. I'm cruising right now. So I told you guys the other day I was like right around 1,000. We're up to 1,033, and I'm gonna keep moving. I got to get to 3,000 to get this thing where I need it to be. And like I said, well, I think I have till. Gosh, I don't remember the date. I think about 8 more months, So yeah, we're cruising along. It's gonna be great. Okay, so go to the comments. Okay, Matt says I like Amazon. Yeah, who doesn't like Amazon? And yeah, I use it all the time for my business. And one of the things that I do is I order in. I do a lot of the just-in-time thing, right? So I'll order in if I know that I've got a cabinet coming in. I'll go ahead and I'll order the hinges. I'll order any kind of magnet catches that I need, anything, sandpapers, anything like that I need. A lot of times I will use Amazon for things, and I'll just order it per piece of furniture that comes in, because they ship so fast, and you don't really pay anything more for the shipping. And while there's like distributors that will give you better pricing on bulk stuff, you don't always need bulk stuff if you're not moving a ton of product, right? And that's another thing that people don't really talk about a lot, is that when you buy stuff from China or you have things made in China, you have to have things made in massive bulk quantities. I mean, you're talking 1,000 minimums, 5,000 minimums. So you got to move a lot of product, and even though it's cheap, there's a lot of money into it, So you can be sitting on a ton of inventory, and you might not sell it or work through it for years. You have to order so much stuff, so it's really important that you grow sales super fast. You have a lot of customers to turn that shit over and over. So anyway, all right, more comments. So we got Paul Thomas in here. Good to see you, Paul. I appreciate you showing up and saying hi again and participating in the conversation. And again, guys, hit the like button and just let me know, what are you doing? Why do you guys listen to this stream? I'm always very kind of curious. It's I said we always talk about the woodworking thing. We're always talking about the paint and all that kind of stuff. So okay, move back on to what we're talking about here. So I got another article pulled up that I wanted to talk about, And it basically says the psychology behind price and quality. And it says, one cannot ignore the psychological factors that influence customer behavior. Price often serves as a heuristic or a mental shortcut for assuring quality. Okay, the logic goes that a product must be made with superior materials and craftsmanship if it is expensive. Okay, and this is not true. This is absolutely not true. You don't have to have a super expensive handmade piece of whatever in order to sell it for a crap ton of money. And what I talked about at the very beginning of the stream is if you do have that perception of quality or that history of quality, of craftsmanship, all these kind of things, and people find out that it's not actually made the way you say that it's made, you are going to be wiped out. You will lose all that cachet that you built up over years, decades, whatever it might be, and it's all wiped out in a hurry. So if you're going to charge a lot of money for a product, you better deliver on it. It's just super important as the price of your product goes up, and ours has over the years. Ours has actually just about doubled from the time we started this company to where it's at now. Not because it's necessarily we just want to rip people off, but just the cost of everything has gone up so much. But we've delivered a better product over the years, and it's more of a larger client base, bigger factory, more employees, and so on and so on. And the cost of everything just goes up. So naturally you're going to raise your prices, but it allows you to you also can collect a little bit more money based on your name, right, on your brand. So there's a lot of that going on. But the relationship between craftsmanship and price is a whole other thing. Like I noticed when I go back to this Amazon thing, it says they're very quick to point out that this Amazon cabinet is made by hand, right? Even though it's made in China. This is funny because I always draw this with Nike, right? So Nike shoes are technically handmade, and Nike could easily say, well, our shoes are handmade. It's like, yeah, they're made in sweatshops in China. This thing, well, probably not made in a sweatshop, is definitely made in a less than desirable place, right? And I'm always talking about the crazy amount of regulations that we have to deal with here in America versus all these other places, right? So odds are this factory in China doesn't have OSHA breathing down their neck, or the EPA, or the city, state, and county regulators wanting to come in and check out your place, and it doesn't have employees that want to sue them, or you don't have a lot of that. People aren't being sued over there a ton. So we have to deal with that stuff here in America. So again, if you can develop a product and charge a good price and talk about your product, push your product for being handmade, or whatever, just the superior quality, the superior technology, the superior delivery experience, the heritage, whatever, the pedigree, whatever it might be. You talk about that stuff enough and you can get that price up. And while the price of everything is rising, you'll be able to get more money for your product. And I've been saying it now for quite a bit. It's really important that you're able to raise your price as the cost of everything goes up. It's going to help you to not have to suck it, basically. the best way that I can put it. So it's really important that you have a very good brand. Okay, so if you go to Instagram, Facebook, whatever, you'll see that the Resplendent Crow right now, we're running a lot of American-made ads, right? I put that in not all my ads, in a lot of my ads. I want people to know that our product is 100% made in America, right? So if you're someone that is looking for furniture and you see our ad, like, why wouldn't you at least click on it and look at, okay, what is this American-made furniture? Like, who is this American-made brand? And all these kind of things. And I think that's a very important thing. And we've seen a pretty good response to those kind of ads. So I think the idea of selling an American-made product, but more importantly, talking about your product being made in America, is becoming more and more important. And it's been good to us. So now I've got more ads coming in where I'm actually talking about we're selling a non-tariffed piece of furniture, which I don't know if that one's going to hit as well, because it's just the idea of putting a tariff related to anything in an ad is very weird in America. We don't ever talk about that kind of stuff. Tariffs aren't a big thing here in America, but it's all the rage right now. Everybody's talking about it. So if you could let people know, like, hey, our furniture isn't tariffed. It's not inflated because of tariffs and all these kind of things. I think there's something there, So we'll see. I don't know if that's going to work out or not. But it's just we're always throwing shit against the wall, kind of seeing what sticks, And it's just you just have to keep talking about your product as though it's the greatest thing on earth. I talk about that quite a bit as well. You got to have a little bit of hubris, right? You can't be afraid to say, hey, my stuff is amazing. My stuff's better than the competition. And here's why. And here, let me show you me making your furniture. Like, that's a big thing. If you want to, again, grow your brand and grow the value and like I said, the cachet of your product, you have to show how it is made, right? Who is making your product? Why is your product superior? And you have to give people the option of buying from somebody that they don't know, some faceless, company, or buying from you, seeing you working on your product, how you paint, how you make, how you deliver, what's so great about your product? Why do customers like your product? Do you have any known customers? It's all this kind of stuff really helps to elevate your brand above everybody else, or at least, to move it up within your, whatever your industry is. And so those things are all really important. And again, the tariff conversation and the crazy fluctuation in the price of goods and the conversation about quality today is really important. And you need to get some kind of a company going on. You got to have something you're working on. You got to have a website. You got to let people know you make something, because people are looking to buy stuff in America. They are looking for people that make stuff here, not only because like of patriotism or anything like that. It's not necessarily like that. It's just more people are talking about, where are things made, right? Why are things priced the way they're priced? That's actually, there's a lot of people wanting to know how you price your product. Why does your product cost, ABC? Because they're looking at everybody else. A lot of people are looking right now because everyone's price shopping, and it's the people that operate in that best tier that I'm always talking about. Like, those people price shop, and they price shop differently than you and I, right? They're not necessarily looking for a cheaper price, but they are definitely looking at the overall price of a package of things that they're working on. So they may take a little from you and a little from someone else who's maybe less expensive or even more expensive. You might be the cheap person in the whole package, but you need to let people know what it is you do. And trust me, that goes so far into elevating your brand, into getting, you to that top tier of best products, So, okay, a few more comments. Looks like we got Mike in here. Hey, Mike, man, good to see you, dude. I hope things are going good. You'll have to swing by the shop sometime and say hi. So Mike's a painter here in St. Louis, Missouri, and every time he comes on, I always shout him out because he's a good dude. He used to work for me, and he struck out on his own, and he's doing it. Like, he's dealing with trying to find customers, and I think he just got his first place. So again, just another person that can do this. You can do it, and it's hard as hell. And Mike can be the first one to tell you, but it's it's better than the alternative. At least I think. I would rather bust my ass and almost struggle as a small business owner than go work for somebody else and have it be easy. Like, there's something about it that feels really good. So anyway, okay. Mike says, what's Mike saying here? Pottery Barn is a good example of upper price range product that isn't all that the average buyer may think it is, but it's well marketed into a demographic. Yeah, and that's fantastic. And Mike, you always have like really good insights into things. Like, I've always like almost been, I'm really surprised at the amount of wisdom and insight that you have into the furniture and the paint industry. Like, it always blows me away. So yeah, he's 100% right. So the thing about, everyone I think at this point has probably been to a Pottery Barn or a Crate and Barrel, stores like this. I think all those are all owned by Williams Sonoma, if I'm not mistaken. But the truth is that a lot of that furniture is made in Vietnam, and what we're hearing about today is Vietnam, especially, right? So the Trump administration had put a 46% tariff on Vietnam, and one of the reasons that is because that guy understands the furniture industry. And what he understands is that a lot of these companies are taking their work and they're sending it to Vietnam, right? And a ton of them were in China, but what they've tried to do is they've tried to beat the tariff situation, and they've moved operations to Vietnam, or they're moving them to India, and they're tariff hopping in this idea to get the cheapest place to make their goods, right? They can move their products all over the world, but they can't move them back to America, right? Which is why we talk about this kind of stuff, because there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you want a cheaper product, and it probably does need to be overseas, and there's nothing wrong with that. But these companies are very good, like Mike was saying, they're very good at marketing. And if you go on their website, just like we saw here on Amazon, you're gonna see that people say, well, our stuff's handmade. They like to use these things like their products are worldly, or they'll say they're made by artisans from all over the world. And what they mean is they're made by people in Japan, or they're made, or not Japan, Vietnam, or they're made in Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia. These are all like real popular places. And these companies, what they're doing is, if you knew what they were doing and how they're marketing their products, like, it's kind of disgusting. because they want you to think that some guy making $2 a day in Vietnam, they'd like to call that person an artisan because they know that the average person here in America hears that word artisan and immediately thinks quality, right? Which is what we're talking about in this whole stream. These companies, they traded a lot of expensive labor to make their products for cheap labor in other countries so they can come in here and hire marketers, right? So these are people that convince you to buy their products and give you the illusion of quality and the illusion of, making a product in an industry that's going to be passed down from father to son, from mother to daughter, and all. This is the stuff that they do, and they put together these crazy ad campaigns that make you feel something if you get their product. And again, it's good for them, but this is the game, and Mike is talking about this. It's their products are not made in America. Now, there are a ton of products that are actually made in America by companies like Crate and Barrel and Pottery Barn and stuff like that. But generally, they're going to be kind of upholstered goods, and they're not all made. They're assembled, right? So they might make the carcasses. They'll see it. So you got the couch carcass, right? They'll do that here. They'll assemble all that stuff in like North Carolina, South Carolina, and then all the textiles, everything will come in from most likely China, and then they'll make the cushions and all that here, and then they'll assemble it all. And that's generally how they do that kind of stuff. But most of your case goods are made overseas, which is wild because it's wild to think that it's cheaper to develop an entire factory system in another country that's 8,000 miles away. And there's a language barrier, and you have to put all the stuff onto containers, and you have to move those products over the ocean, not down the street, where we have a great a great highway system. It's over a freaking ocean. Move it all the way into a port, right, where at the end it has to be worked on some more and then brought into a warehouse, and then for the warehouse it has to be taken apart and then actually put into a store. It's wild how expensive American labor is when you compare it to the rest of the world. I mean, it's just our standard of living is so high, So anyway, that's kind of what's going on with these people. But again, as what I title this thing is, if you can, as the price of things go up, quality is going to be very important. And so it's super important that you not only make a really high quality product, but you tell people about it. And more importantly, you show people, and you have to be, like I said before, you have to be willing to, like I said, show some hubris. Like it's okay to be a little bit cocky about your quality, right? About what it is that you're delivering, because all these other people have no problem doing that. So there's some things you have to learn to kind of do these things and not, don't worry about imposter syndrome and stuff like that. Like no one's going to talk shit on you. And if they do, like, who cares? You're just doing your thing. And again, the longevity is the game. And if you can continue to do this thing over and over and over again for years at a time, you're going to beat out everybody. And that's the hardest thing. I mean, most people can deliver a version of quality. It's hard to do it for a very long time. And those are the companies that make it, And one other thing, Mike, I see you got one more thing in here. Another company that we hear a lot about is Restoration Hardware. So Restoration Hardware is an amazing company. I mean, they make beautiful furniture. And I've always liked going into their stores. I love the size, right? That's one of the things when you operate in this higher tier of furniture, you'll notice that the furniture gets big. It's not only it gets taller, it gets wider, but it's the proportions are very different because you're selling to a wealthy person, and generally those people have big homes. They need to fill up big spaces, which require big pieces of furniture, big case goods, things like that. So that's one of the things I really like about Restoration Hardware. But the truth is Restoration Hardware, their case goods are made in Vietnam. And I did some research on this because it was news to me. But that's where that stuff's made, and that's fine. But that's one of the reasons that a store like Restoration Hardware can afford to have such nice stores. We have one of those located in a place called Plaza Frontenac here in St. Louis, and it's gorgeous. You get these big, massive couches and big, bookcases and barrister cases and credenzas and mirrors. Their mirrors are amazing, but when you go in there, you got all these salespeople, and it's just like, man. Like, I think myself as a small business, I'm like, there's no way I can afford all that shit. There's no way, But if I didn't have, my whatever $400,000 a year labor bill, maybe I could afford a store, with nice lighting and, some hot a salesperson, to sell my furniture to people. It's like you start to see how the stuff kind of works. I could spend a little bit more on advertising to let more people know about the amazing Resplendent Crow furniture. And this is the game, so this is how it works. And unfortunately, until we can break that cycle, as small business owners and people that are trying to do this stuff out of garage and just grow this thing into something where we can, work for ourselves, there's nothing we can do about it, But the scare of the tariff has created a conversation, and it has created more people looking for products. And this is again is your opportunity to get more people looking at what you sell, more eyeballs asking, or more people asking you questions and inquiring about what it is you do, and things like that. So I hope this makes sense to people, and I hope it's, like I said, I hope it's good information. And again, what I say in these streams is like, you can learn something, 100 times, but sometimes it's the messenger, right? Like, I don't know how many times I've been told things over the years, and then eventually someone says it in a specific kind of way, and it's like, oh, it clicks. And that's really all we're trying to do, is just talk about this kind of things, and just, craftsperson to craftsperson, I guess. So, all right, I'll go through more comments. So Mike is in here with more stuff. Okay, Mike, let's see what you got. Quality can come in the way of tangible or intangible expectations. Showing a physical difference is great. People weigh what's important to them, such as how they feel versus a well-built good. Yeah, no, that's a fantastic point of view. And again, Mike, you need to do streams, man. I think your perception of things and the way that you type things, I bet you could talk about this stuff as well. You should start a stream, dude, and I'll promote it for you. But what he's talking about is very important, and I talk about this with the Resplendent Crow. So the way I envision our brand and the way I envision people looking at our furniture, quality is always important, right? But what I envision is, I think that you got some housewife who's talking to her housewife friends, and they're all saying, "Oh, guess what I got," right? Or their friends come over for a party, because wealthy people like to entertain, right? And then they see our shiny, glossy, bright piece of furniture, and they go, "What is that?" And then they're, "Oh, let me tell you what this is. Oh, this is a lacquered piece of furniture from the Resplendent Crow." And then I think there's a couple people, and they're like, "Oh, I've heard of that. Oh, those, yeah, I've always wondered, what is that? Oh, this is amazing." And then they open it up, and then the quality conversation happens, and they start talking about the delivery experience, and it snowballs into this thing where you're talking about lust. And this is what Mike's talking about. He didn't quite word it this way, but people lust after a product, right? They lust after things. And guys, the easiest thing to say is we lust after cars. Not everyone's into cars, but whatever, maybe lust after tools, whatever it might be. But women love shiny things, and this idea of when they get something, they're just like, "Oh, that's amazing. That's so exciting." And they want to show their friends, and they want to talk about how amazing it is. And it's when somebody lusts after something, it's very different than when somebody needs something. When it comes to lust, they will think about it for a very long time. It will not leave their brain. And again, like with the cars thing, guys know this. We think about cars quite a bit, but it never leaves their brain, and it's just a matter of time before they pull that trigger. Because again, you can't get it out of their head. It's like, for women, it's diamonds. It's again, colorful, shiny things, flowers, all these. This is what they like, and I think that's kind of what Mike's talking about when he's talking about this. About weighing the importance of an item versus the quality. Okay, so all right, more Mike. Say, is a Restoration Hardware and Pottery Barn essentially the same thing and notched up and down? The other sister companies. Yeah, no, 100%. And that's the thing. Like, I think that Restoration Hardware is its own company, and they sell on the stock exchange for, like, I want to say today they were trading at like somewhere like $170 a share. But before Trump announced his tariffs on Vietnam, they were selling for almost $300 a share. So these guys just got destroyed at the thought of tariffs, because it was going to increase the price significantly. I mean, double the price of everything they sell. So they got destroyed. Same thing with Williams-Sonoma, and I believe that Pottery Barn is owned by Williams-Sonoma. I could be wrong, but I believe that's the case. And same thing with them. They got destroyed because it meant that they were going to have to move into that very high tier of sellers, right? Where you're getting custom furniture. You can pick the colors you want. You can pick the hardware you want. Restoration Hardware, you get a little bit of that, but it's kind of, you're only going to get so many selections, whereas someone like us, it's unlimited. We can do just about anything. But we're kind of selling at a similar price point. But yeah, Mike, you're right. Pottery Barn's a little under Restoration Hardware. But Pottery Barn, you're getting less choices. You've got more standard sizes, whereas Restoration Hardware is going to have more sizes available, more colors available, so on and so forth. I think just more products in general. So yeah, that's what's going on there. And then last thing Mike says is Restoration Hardware has a much more elegant look and general build. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, and I'll talk about the design side. So yeah, what you're saying is 100% true. Restoration Hardware, their products just look more upscale. Like there's just no way to go around. I mean, when you go to Pottery Barn, you're going to see chalk paint and stuff like that. Whereas with Restoration Hardware, you're going to see metallic finishes and rubbed finishes. And again, it's a much more handmade product, and probably a lot of it is handmade, but it's handmade by the Vietnamese, or it's handmade by the people in Malaysia. It's not handmade by an American artisan. They're not selling a product that some man is making there in North Carolina, and then he's going to pass that down to his kids, and then his kids are then going to do that thing. Like, that's not happening. Restoration Hardware is the only Americans they're paying are in the marketing team, right? Or maybe the design team, which is what I'm going to talk about now. So if you look at a lot of furniture, I talk about the furniture industry the way I talk about the car industry. There's these photos that come out every year of all the SUVs that are made by the car companies. And if you look at them, they take all the SUVs and they put the color white on all of them, just so it's easier to kind of see what they're trying to say. And what you'll notice is that all designs look the same. Like, it doesn't matter what manufacturer it is, they all kind of have the same shape. And the truth is most of these people that are designing things today aren't making things. And this is, again, people could disagree with me. I'd be very curious to hear what people have to say about this. But truth is that all these people are going to school and they're learning about design, but they're all learning the same things about design from the same people, the same, inspirations, because the people they're teaching have all the same inspirations, right? The people that taught them had the same inspirations. And what it's leading to is almost like not a group mind thing, but it's people are kind of all thinking along the same path, right? Like, there's very few people that are thinking way outside of the box. And I think that's one of the things that really helps us as a furniture company is we don't have any of that. Like when I design something, I've built 1,000 pieces of furniture in my day, and that's what I'm building off of. I've got a file on my computer here that has 1,000 different pictures of furniture that I just saw one day. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. And when I need to design something new, I go back and I just start looking at stuff. I mean, I'll go through hundreds of pictures, and just until I can kind of piece together some ideas that I really like, and I'll pull an element from here to pull an element from there, and we create a piece of furniture. But I don't know that these companies are coming up with really like revolutionary designs or anything that's really that interesting. It all kind of looks the same. You might have a different finish, and like Mike said, the Restoration Hardware is going to look more elegant. It's going to be sized a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, it's all kind of the same stuff. Because the truth is that, and we know this about many products in America, are made by the same companies. So even though you're like, say if you buy a brake pad for a car, you might buy a Paget brake pad or a Mintex brake pad, but the truth is that they're all made in the same factory, right? And that's what I think is going on. I think a lot of these companies, most of the furniture is being made in very few factories, but those factories are massive and they're all in the same countries. Whereas if you have something made in America, you've got 1,000 different people like myself all making furniture with our own ideas and our own experiences and our own influences and all these kind of things. And so you get very different products. So there's a lot of people today that they're kind of what I call like bandwagon chasing. Like, you guys will notice that during COVID, and especially during COVID, there was everyone was doing the live edge thing. Like, everywhere you looked, people were making any kind of live edge furniture, and it was just everywhere, and it got live edge to death. And now you don't see a ton of it anymore, right? And now people are onto this, I think they call them river tables or epoxy tables. Everyone is making frickin' these epoxy tables, and those things are going to get played out too, because people can't. It's not. I don't say can't. They just don't want to come up with their own idea. They don't want to come up with anything new. They're like the movie industry. They're just taking old ideas and rehashing them, and it's not working out so well. So I think that's kind of what's going on in the furniture industry. We just don't have enough people that make things, designing things. Everyone's went to school for design, right? But if you told them, hey, go make me a dovetail drawer box, they're not gonna have any freaking idea. They're gonna go order the dovetail drawer box. So I hope that makes sense. I could be wrong, but that's what I think is kind of going on, Mike. You could you could disagree with me, but I think that's what's going on. Okay, so who else we got in here? We got what, Isosatur? I don't even know how you say that. But hello, glad you're here, and we're talking about basically the quality of the products that we sell or the products that you buy. The quality is going to become mandatory, and it's as that price goes up, people start looking at a lot more factors. And while having a really good brand is super important, the quality of what you make, the quality of materials you put into the things you make is going to matter, right? And if you want to sell your product, you want to let people know what it is that you're making as far as quality or brand or whatever, you got to talk about it. You got to put it out there, and you got to be willing to, say how amazing your product is and let people know this is what I make. Show people how you make it. Like today, I don't see enough people with companies or brands showing people how they make things. They'll have some great ad, they'll have some amazing reel or a short or whatever, and the production quality is amazing, but you don't really see how the furniture is made. You're not really seeing that the person that made the ad is actually the person making the furniture, or the person that owns the company has made the furniture. And well, you don't necessarily have to do all that, but I think it's more important today that people understand who makes the product, who owns the company, what does the company stand for, right? Where are the materials from your company? How do you price your product? How do you make your product? All these kind of things I think are more important than they've ever been, and it's going to continue to go that way. Because again, think about it, as the cost of things go up, right? Like I can get on Amazon here, I could buy a credenza for $500. It'll be delivered to my door, and I can put it together, and then I've got a credenza, right? But if a 100% tariff is added on that, well, then that thing becomes $1,000. Well, then if I have a credenza that I sell for $2,000 that will be delivered to your door in any color that you want, and you don't have to assemble it, well, then suddenly, yeah, my product's still more expensive, but the value of it and the perception of the quality will make it much more palatable to someone. They'll start to think about it, right? Maybe we should just save some money and buy that Resplendent Crow credenza, because who wants to buy this? I mean, I remember the company's name, Orient Living, something like that. It's like, why would you want to buy that? No one knows what that is, right? It's just some cheap credenza from Amazon. So anyway, I hope this stuff kind of makes sense. I thought it'd be a fun conversation to talk about that kind of stuff. More topics. I need to come up with some more topics to talk about. I try and pick things to talk about with the furniture space that are relevant to kind of what's going on in the news or in the economy and stuff like that. So I'll come up with some more topics, and I'll try and get them posted on here and let people know when we're going to do these things. I try and do them most days about 4 o'clock. I talk about something. I try and schedule it out. But Fridays we look at what's in the shop. We go through all the furniture. We go look at all the painted furniture, the stained furniture. We talk about new projects that are coming in, things that got messed up, things that went great. We just cover the whole gamut of it, and then we show it with the Steadicam and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're doing. I hope everyone has a great day, and we'll do this all again tomorrow. So enjoy the nice weather.